She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Is it that time already? Why, yes, it is. It's just another fine evening here. Just a little bit ago, I did a active test on the live streaming from the phone to the YouTube channel, and it worked. Again, it was a good test. I mean, everything came through. The sound, the screen came through fine. Still a lot of daylight out. There's not inclement low lighting conditions. I'm not sure how that'll work. I guess I can, do something like this, when we do that. But we'll see how that all goes. But it went good, and thank you to all of you who showed up for that test. I just turned it on, and bam, some of you were there, and I appreciate your feedback. And I think I got it all sorted, so that's pretty exciting. But tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, the journey begins for the portal, and very exciting stuff. Special thank you to Nick, a listener who emailed tonight and said some wonderful, really cool things about the show. He was really, really complimentary, and it's absolutely humbling. But he then told me about this site called Bandcamp, and that you can use to share music. And I was looking on all kinds of ways of doing it, and I don't know, all kinds of ways that I could host it myself or whatever. And boom, he told me about this site. I went and checked it out, did some looking, and wow, what a great site. So, ladies and gentlemen, now, if you like the song that is the theme song of the show, you can certainly download your own copy of it. And thank you, Nick, for helping me find Bandcamp. That worked out great. I've set up a site. I did put a link in the chat. I'll do it again. I'll do it right now. Just in case anybody's interested, because I'm getting all kinds of messages about this. Oh, what's that song? I really love that song. I'd like to have a copy of that song. And so I did it. And it's not me trying to push my stuff out there on you guys. I don't know. That kind of stuff really bothers me when people have shows and they just jam stuff down your throat. And honestly, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just answering requests is what I think I'm doing here. So again, I don't mean for it to be in poor taste, me trying to peddle more of my stuff. But if you are interested in the song, it's there. That's the link to get it. You can certainly do that. Thank you, Julia, for doing that as well, posting that. I appreciate it. And Diana, good to see you. We've missed you so much as well. Great to have you back. But anyway, that's again, Nick, thank you for that. I appreciate it. It really helped out and filled an epic need. It's that serendipity of life, and I just love that when things come together. That you have a need, and suddenly someone just presents you the solution just out of nowhere. Like, really? He just brought it up, and boom, it was perfect. It's a perfect fit for what we need. And so far, the only song listed there is Feline. I suppose I'll get Emotional Buffet up there at some point as well, and including the Tribes, if you guys like the Tribes song, that the more instrumental thing that plays during both the UFO break and the Bigfoot break. I'll put Tribes up there too. Maybe somebody wants it, maybe somebody doesn't. I don't know. It's just, I'll put everything up there that I have completed, and if you guys like it, great. If you don't, no worries. But it's there, it's available, and thank you to everyone who has requested it. I hope you'll take advantage of that. It certainly will help as well, but it's just $1, so for whatever that's worth. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you're all ready, because It's time for bed. That's funny, Julia. Weird. Did you already message me that on Facebook, Julia, about a dream with me and Chris Gio in it last night? Let me know, because if you didn't, that's really weird, because I swear that's the second time today I've heard that. Yeah. So I don't know. Julia, did you message me that about having a dream with me in it? Which is always cool. Thank you very much. But no, I mean, whatever. I don't know the narrative of the dream, but I swear to God, I've heard that twice today now. And I don't know. That's strange. That's really strange. God, I'll have to look through my messages and see. I don't know. Very strange. I thought for sure that came up somewhere, but maybe, Razor. Nah, Renee, you're now talking about Relish Razor. Yeah. Relish Razor is my oldest son, and he was on the feed a little while ago when I tested the camera. But anyway, I hope you guys are all set. I got some stories pulled up for you. Hopefully we'll have a great show tonight. I always intend on every show being a great show. Again, everything's looking great for this trip tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. Talked to Dan today. He's gotten all the bells and whistles loaded up, and he's going to be heading out in the morning. I'm going to be heading out in the morning. We'll probably get there tomorrow evening on site. We'll get into town long before that, but we got to get settled, and he's got other things he has to do prior to jumping up there. But yeah, we're going to hit it tomorrow night and Saturday, and hopefully have an epic adventure, and I'm sure we will. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll get to, of course, meet Duke, meet several of the other investigators that are up there. I guess Caveman is on his way up there. There's several other names that are up there, and I don't know if it's not really my place to talk about it. I don't see Duke in here tonight, but he's already got some of those people in town, so I know he's busy getting all this stuff underway, and I'm sure they're going to have a phenomenal time. I'm really honored to be some part of it. Oh, hey, Frank Smith, good to see you. I'm not familiar with your name, but welcome to the show. I am actually in the north tip of Idaho. I'm in the town called Sandpoint, which is north of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And great. I'm glad you found us, however you found us. So, Cha-Cha, how you doing? Good to see you. So it's just it's a really exciting time. I really hope everything works out to stream on site. As far as I know, Don will be here Saturday unless something comes up for him. But even if he's not able to come in and do it, I'll still stream from the field and try to bring you guys everything that I possibly can. As far as content, it's not going to be 2-hour shows probably. Maybe it'll be an hour, maybe it'll be 45 minutes. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how long my phone battery will last streaming. I don't know. I just put in a new battery in this phone, so hopefully it has quite a bit of life. But I have noticed that this the phone actually kind of heats up when you're using it. And I don't know. It's an iPhone 6 or something like that. iPhone 6. So I don't know. But hopefully it lasts a long time out there, and we'll bring you the best shows that we can. So the download off Bandcamp was easy. Oh, very good. Good. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Bigfoot in Germany checked out the song and downloaded it. Excellent. Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you like the Feline song, then the song's name is Feline. That is the intro to the show. It's available now on Bandcamp. And just watch the chat. I'm sure somebody will post it here and there. I think I put it in the show description as well. So if you're interested in it, go get it. Thank you very much. So let's get to some of the stories. I know you're not here to continue to hear me gum run. Let's see where we got. So I got a first story here for you guys tonight. Actually, I should go through more of these because I have this open still, and I want to get through this. And this is a stories that I was going through on Wednesday's show, which was yesterday, wasn't it? Don and I had a great time yesterday, by the way, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show last night. We had quite a few people in here, so it was a lot of fun. Let's see. These are a lot shorter. A lot of them are quite a bit shorter, but Not all of them. Some of them are actually pretty long. So this one looks pretty long. So it says, in November of 2011, my mom had her second major stroke and had to be put into long-term care because we just couldn't give her what she really needed. My husband and I recently moved out of state and to his first military duty station. Luckily, it was only a 5-hour drive, and we were able to spend Thanksgiving with my dad that year. The house I grew up in has always been creepy. Over the years, we heard footsteps upstairs when we were all downstairs. We saw shadows, doppelgangers, and things that just shouldn't have been there. I hated leaving my dad alone there, as he was ill, and at that point we didn't know it was cancer. We just that he was slowing down. We convinced him to come live with us, but couldn't bring him right away because he had to sort through 30 years of accumulation, and we were living in a one-bedroom house. We made plans to come back and bring him home with us around the first of the year, 6 weeks later. My dad hated talking on the phone, and he grew up before people really even had landlines and never really liked phones. After we got home, he called me every single day, and I knew something was up, because this is the man who would cuss out his cell phone until it stopped ringing. He wouldn't elaborate. He would just admit that the house was getting weird. My husband was finally granted an extra few days leave, and after New Year's, we went to get my dad, and the 2 nights we spent at that house are something I'll never forget. I honestly think whatever was in that house was pissed. We were all moving out for good, and things would move on us or be in different box than we had packed it in, and we were hearing really strange knocks on the walls and faint voices in rooms nobody was in. We only slept there 2 nights, and that first night my husband and I were trying to go to sleep, and we started hearing stomping upstairs. Well, the attic was huge and had previously been my room as a teenager, and it has hardwood floors and had wooden enclosed steps, and we both realized we never heard my dad go upstairs, and we're trying to figure out why he'd be up there in the middle of the night. When we decided to get his stuff up there in the daylight the next day, I got up and went out to the living room, and he was sitting on the couch. He asked me if the stomping had woken us up too. My husband joined us in the living room, and we all sat and talked for the next few hours. In that time, my dad finally told me the footsteps had become a nightly thing. It sounded like something frantically pacing back and forth where my bed used to be up there. It started the night he had started packing boxes and had spoken to me on the phone about the date we were coming to get him, and he said he had started seeing the shadows darting in and out of the back door again, too. This was something we hadn't seen in at least 15 years. The doorknob started jiggling again, and my dad and I were both night owls, and we would sit up late telling ghost stories and just talking, and this would happen often. We'd just be talking away, and all of a sudden the doorknob would start jiggling. We would hear and see it happen. At first, my dad would grab the machete we kept under the couch and a flashlight and walk around the house, the outside of the house, and never find anything. After a while, we just ignored it. After a while, we went back to bed, and we laid there just listening to the frantic pacing until we passed out. It happened the next night, too. It was so surreal. I still ask my husband if it really happened, and he always kind of chuckles and reminds me that we barely slept and were so exhausted when we got to our new house that we were all in zombie mode unloading the truck. My dad passed away 6 months later, and he was so glad to be out of that damn house. I was just happy he didn't die alone there. My husband and I recently moved back to the city, and I grew up in, and right after we got back, he insisted we drive by that house. I had the worst feeling of dread over seeing that house again. The new owners changed a lot about the yard and the exterior. I'd love to know if they've had experiences like we did, but there's nothing anyone can say to get me back in that house to ask them. Yeah, that would be pretty intense. All right, the next one. This is not my firsthand experience, but it happened to my mom when she was 10 years old. It happened in the 80s. India, in which the bathrooms weren't attached to the bedroom or to the house. But you'd have to walk through your backyard to where the bathrooms are constructed as a separate building instead of attached bathroom. So one chilly December night, Mom went to take a leak in the bathroom, but since it was dark and she was scared to go walk till the end of the big backyard, she asked her mom to accompany her till the bathroom. My mom went inside, finished her business, and came out of the bathroom, and suddenly she sees a lady standing right next to her mom and was surprised that until now there was no one except her mom, and then this lady showed up. She assumed that the lady might be of the farmers her father employed to work on his farm, and she might have needed some money, and Mom then asked the lady, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here this late at night? Dad's not here. He's out running some errands. Please come back tomorrow." Grandma turned pale. My grandmother couldn't see anyone standing beside her, and my mom was clearly pointing right next to her. And Grandma didn't take any chances. She grabbed her daughter and rushed inside the house and asked her daughter, "Who has she seen, and what did she look like?" Mom described the lady as a stout and tall woman wearing red sari, a typical Indian dress, and had a gray color necklace. Grandma herself was scared because she once saw the same lady a few years back in the backyard but never told anyone about it. Grandma started chanting holy mantras in Hinduism and waited until Grandpa arrived. When Grandpa heard about the whole ordeal narrated by Grandmother, he gave a nod like he knew what or who it was based on the description given. He calmly went and grabbed a family album and showed it to Grandma and Mom, and sure as hell, that lady was my mom's grandmother, and she died way before Grandma and Grandpa got married. He said he saw himself. He himself saw her a few times in the backyard and reassured Mom and Grandma that nothing was going to harm them. He said that his mother loved sitting in the same backyard during chilly winter nights, and that she loved this house to death. The word has it that in the ancestral home, her spirit still wanders during winters, and the neighbors insist that they saw her several times in that backyard, just sitting and staring at the sky. Wow. That's pretty intense. Huh. All right, next one. A few years ago, I was home with my family. My house was fairly small, so noise traveled well throughout the structure, and I can't remember the exact time, but if my memory serves me correct, it was around 10 p.m. The sound system in my brother's room went full volume without anyone being in that room. The music was at its loudest and obviously startled the whole family before we ran into the room, and we turned it off. And this is where it gets strange. As if it coming on full blast wasn't strange. Now it's getting strange, ladies and gentlemen. The same night after the sound system almost blew the speakers on its own, we later heard the water running in the kitchen sink, and we went to investigate, and one of the taps was on full flow. Again, it was very strange, as one would physically have had to turn the tap to open the valve. As cliche as this may sound, it was very cold when I went into the kitchen to investigate the kitchen incident. The fact of the matter is that both of these events happened in the same night and definitely spooked the family a little. And again, are those just one-off kind of events? Or are those just, boom, hey, haunt you quick, all right, I'm out of here. Like a drive-through haunting, like, convenient traveling hauntings. I don't know, it's very strange phenomena, but it seems to occur quite often. Just a couple weird things will happen that defy explanation, and then absolutely nothing. I don't know. Those are really bizarre. So the next story. A lot of abandoned roads where I grew up. It was a small town where a lot of people started building before the economy went to hell in 2007, thus leaving a bunch of abandoned half-constructed houses and empty half-built roads leading to dead ends. It was the perfect place to drive when I first got my license, to go smoke some weed with buddies, and we were in my car hanging out in an abandoned road when my car shut off. Turning the lights off completely, we were in pitch darkness. I held my breath and hoped the car hadn't died on me, and turned the key, and the car started right up and flashed the lights onto the dead end ahead. A man dressed in a very old suit and top hat was standing there with a briefcase. We were in the middle of nowhere, no houses or anything for miles. It was 6 of us stuffed in this car, and we all saw him. We all screamed, and I never put a car in reverse so fast. By the time I adjusted myself to back out, he was gone. That's just so strange. Wonder what was in that briefcase. Wonder what he's lugging around in his afterlife. What's going on? Some important papers or something? Do ghosts carry paperwork? I got my haunting license right here, right in the case. Thanks. I don't know. It is bizarre, though. Let's go to the next story. My friend and I went out stargazing one night. It was a clear night, and the moon was full and really bright. We were looking towards the moon, and then right beside the moon, these 3 lights appeared out of nowhere, forming an upside-down triangle. They were just as bright or slightly brighter than the moon, and the top 2 lights faded off really fairly quickly, and the bottom light faded just short time after that, while moving up in a squiggly line. This whole sighting lasted about 15 seconds. If my friend wasn't there, I would be questioning what the heck that was, and I still am, of course, but seeing as he was there, we both know what we saw. It was really unreal. That's a cool sighting. I don't know. You know, it's in the dark, you see a light. There's still a lot of gray area in there, if that's really a paranormal event or not. Is it a UFO or not? Is it is it some kind of normal aircraft, or is it, if it's just a light, it's hard to tell. But I don't know. I guess you get used to the things in your area after a while. You're used to seeing what's normally in the sky, and when something isn't normally in the sky, this definitely stands out. I think we know our communities pretty well, and we usually know the night skies pretty well. I don't know. It just seems to me that things like that, they seem really profound, but they may or may not be. It's hard to know, especially if it's some kind of experimental aircraft or some kind of military operation or, something else. You just don't know. But it's paranormal until you know it's normal, I guess. My friend was in the hospital for a surgery she had on her legs, and I went up there with a few friends to visit her and just to keep her company. And while all of us were in there, her mom and our 2 other friends just sitting around and talking, and this rocking chair just starts moving. It's right by my friend in the hospital bed, just rocking as steadily as can be. I was freaked the hell out. I stopped it, put my hand on it, and it started again. It wasn't rocking hard, just slowly, like someone was sitting in it. I checked all around it, and there were no strings, and there was no draft. No one was touching it, even in the slightest. There wasn't any possible explanation for that thing to be moving. My friend's mom thought it was her father coming to see her daughter in the hospital. She was not freaked out in the slightest and didn't even question it. But I still think about it all the time. Maybe they're used to it, Maybe some families are just used to a lot of paranormal weirdness. All right, we're getting to the end of this list, so there's a few more. When I was a kid, I went on a family trip to see the beaches where the Allies landed as me and my dad were both interested. And we visited a bunker, but before we went in, I told my dad I couldn't go in yet as there was somebody already in there speaking. My dad ignored me, and we walked in to find it completely empty. And a few years later, he found a video that stated people would often hear German soldiers in the same bunker. Huh. Next one, lived in a smaller apartment complex for a while. The place had some weird vibes, but nothing huge. Then I started to get bothered at night, and while trying to sleep in my bedroom, I would get the strange sensation that something was right behind me, the feeling where your hair just stands up and you get just kind of fuzzy. That would happen every night, so for about 2 months, I slept on my couch because I would constantly have that feeling, or consistently have that feeling. Sorry. I'm reading too fast and then I fumble on the words. Then I began to date this girl, and we go out drinking one night, and I bring her back to my place. We walk in, I flip on the light, and she freezes. I see a panicked look in her eyes, and she's almost in tears, looking at the corner of the room. She says, "There's a demon right there." Well, I was stunned. I didn't tell anyone about the feelings or me sleeping on the couch before then, and we immediately left and went to her place, and she and a friend later that week did some sort of Indian cleansing thing in my apartment, and I never had another bad feeling ever since. Oh, that's creepy. There's a demon there. Oh, really? Yeah, I'd keep one on standby just in case. That's not the kind of thing you want to hear. I just recently recalled a memory from when I was younger that I haven't thought about in a very long time. I was at a friend's house sitting in his garden around a table that the family had on their porch. I was facing towards the house whilst my friend and his father were faced towards me and away from it. In an occurrence which couldn't have lasted more than a couple of seconds, a jet black silhouette in a person shape appeared on the house wall, standing with their arms out and legs shoulder width apart. It appeared to sidestep across the wall before disappearing, and I was the only witness. No one else was standing nearby to even cast that shadow. Wow, that's strange. Why? When I was a child, I was playing in a local playground. I jumped off the swing and landed in the wood chips. There was one wood chip floating like 30 centimeters above the ground. I even put my hand under the chip and it stayed in the air. I wanted to show it to my friends, but when I got back, it was gone. Well, that's weird. Huh. Don't know what to think about that, but that is pretty powerful stuff. There you have it. That's that list. Those are all of them in the list. I hope you guys enjoyed that list. That's one that I had a lot of fun reading. What the hell? I don't look at chat very often. And then I look up and D say, nudist Ghostbusters. Yeah. What the hell? What is going on in there? Huh. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know. Oh, let's see. Good night, Deb. Did Deb go? Okay. I guess I should see who's here. I don't even know. I haven't even looked at how many of you are here, but thanks. Oh, no, we're not. Let me just go on the record and go, no, that's not happening. All right. So, oh, hey, Gemini, good to see you. It all started by someone asking why ghosts wear clothes. I think it's, I think it's just that they are still like us. I mean, how comfortable are people in walking around naked? Usually we're very, very uncomfortable with that. It's, not a natural state for us because of our, culture or whatever. And all of the cultures besides our bodies need protection. So I think that spirits can manifest themselves to appear however they feel most comfortable, or sometimes they can manifest themselves to appear absolutely screwed up and damaged, and because I think in those cases they're trying to share with people what happened, so you can look and see, oh, this person lost half their face somehow, and have an idea of what's going on. But I think they appear with clothes because that's how many of you guys would walk to the store naked if you could? And I bet not many. It just wouldn't feel right going outside without clothes on. It's just me. I'm a bit old-fashioned, I guess. But I think that's why. They just choose to manifest that way. Not that they have to. The clothes are just a representation of them. And oftentimes, you look at people nowadays, part of our identity is in how we look, in our fashion. Like I wear shorts and flip-flops. Like that's part of my identity. It's where I'm most happy. So when I'm a ghost someday, maybe I'll appear in shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt, and that'll be in my happiest state. What can I say? But yeah, I think that's why. Whatever that's worth. Whatever it's worth. Oh, I left it open, didn't I? Sorry. Okay, so that's strange. Oh, nice. Wow, I already got a couple of downloads. Very cool. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Ah, makes me all happy and warm. Thank you guys. That's really cool. All right, I got more stories. Let's see, what time is it now? I don't know how long it took to get through that, but only about 30 minutes, so we're about halfway. Let's get to this one. In the state of Maryland. We don't see a lot of stories coming out of Maryland, but I should look at who's here. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit scattered tonight because I got a lot on my mind, a lot of things going through my head, and I've been trying to do a lot of things today in preparation of going. Even after the show tonight, I'm going to have to record another show that's going to play on Sunday because I don't know if I'm going to feel like doing a show after I get back on Sunday. So I'm going to record another bedtime story that will air on Sunday night. But let's see. We got Aussie Tiger Rockstar. Fams is in there. Bama BF. Bigfoot in Germany. Julia Blacktree is in there. Brandon Becker is in there. Cameron is in there. Cha-Cha is in there. D. Swiger. Deb Varner. D.H. Lots of D's. Diana Daniels Orcutt. Elaine Clifford. Gemini Moon. Josh Jacobs. Nellie Moen. I'm in there. Renee is in there. The Weird Desk is in there. And Virginia is in there. So thank you guys for being here, all of you. It's just wonderful to see you all. Sissy, I didn't see your name in the list, Sissy, but good to see you. Sissy Lawson is in here as well. You guys are amazing. Pat Studio, excellent. Thanks for being here, Pat. I appreciate that. It's great to see you guys, all of you. Scott Murphy, that's a new name. You're doing great. Podcast was excellent. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Scott. That's wonderful. I'm glad you checked it out. I'm glad you're checking out the stream as well. Very cool. Yay, Isaac. Good to see you. Isaac's in here as well. To avoid phenomena. Lucy. Portal swag. Julia. You even found like emojis for bikini and and a shirt. That's hilarious. Awesome. All right, let's see what's going on in Maryland. My family consists of myself, and I'm 34 years old, my husband, and our 3 sons, and we have lived in our house for about 12 years now. And we knew just about right after we moved in that there were other people here. My husband sees things all the time, and my 11-year-old son has seen ghosts since he was very small. Sometimes things are quiet here for several months at a time, and then we have activity for a few weeks. Not every night per se, but sometimes 2 nights in a row, then nothing for a night or two, and then things will happen such as smoke-filled rooms, and we'll walk into a room and it looks like someone took a bottle of baby powder and smashed it, making a cloud of smoke. That's the only way I can describe it, but then it will disappear all at once within so many seconds. You know, I've seen that phenomena here in this house, and I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing, but that's interesting. In this very house, I've seen the whole cloudy room. It didn't look like smoke. It just looks like a haze. And I just figured my eyes were tired or something. But then I remember looking again and it looked fine, like it was clear. So that's interesting. I didn't really chalk that up as a phenomena, but I guess it could be. All right. So we hear whispers very clearly. My husband and son both see a full-bodied man walk around in here very regularly. We found out that there was a man that had died in our dining room of natural causes, and we get a lot of shadowy figures and sometimes even just get shapes. I have no idea what these shapes mean, shapes as in triangles, circles, squares. We seem to think that there's more than one ghost here. My husband has seen a woman, but only a few times, and that has been about 2 years ago since he's even seen her. There are dark shadows as well, and we don't think that the shadows are of the man that died here. His name is Bill, by the way, because when anyone sees Bill, they can see him very clearly. Sorry, I'm not a good storyteller, and on top of that, I'm very nervous about sharing this with others, but what made me come to here to write all this down is that my son was scared to death. Saturday night, today is Monday, and he was upstairs in his room, and it was late. He was sitting at his computer desk playing a game on his cell phone, and then the speakers on the computer were turned off, but there was noise that came across the speakers on full blast. He said he jumped and he went to turn the speakers, but they were already off. He sat there for a second just looking around, being paranoid, and he said it then got very cold. He turned around and looked towards the steps, and the lamp his nightstand was on turned on. He felt a presence, but he couldn't see anything. The room then got very bright, and he was petrified, and this kid does not scare easily. He is so used to seeing this ghost man, Bill, that is here, that he doesn't even think twice about it, but he felt a strong presence, and he was truly scared. He said this one was different. This is why I'm looking to others for some advice. What should I do? Should I even do anything at all? Is there any way to make them go away? I've emailed the pastor at my old church, but I've not heard back from him, and I'm beginning to think that I probably won't. That's a tough thing. And this story, unfortunately, is very old. It's from 2008, so it's quite a bit old. It's over, 11 years old now. But I hope they did get help or that they moved. But, a house like that with that much activity and that much varied activity, and that regularly active with what seems to be several different types of manifestations would almost seem as if it were perhaps a portal somewhere around there or in the house. It's hard to know, but with a haunting, you generally have a haunting. You have a series of events that, for the most part, they're usually kind of the same things over and over and over, but what they're experiencing in this story is a very broad variety of occurrences. And so it sounds like they do have a lot of things coming and going and coming through and going through. So I don't know. I think it's just one of those things to be very careful of. So I think they need to get it closed, or at least have somebody check in on it. So time will tell. Time will tell. All right. We got that one done. I got to get some more stories for you guys. And for those of you who have not yet, please do check out our podcast. We've been doing really wonderful there, and a lot of great feedback on the podcast, which is really phenomenal and wonderful. And a special thanks to Revolver Podcast for making all that possible. All right, here's another one. Now, this one sounds a little dark. It comes from Michigan. I got family in Michigan. Well, it used to be in Michigan anyway. But living in the ever-present sense of being watched from afar by unseen forces, I was at my parents' home on a cold winter day when the doorbell rang. Mom came in with a few packages from shopping and took them in her room as usual and closed the door behind her. This house was arranged in a long corridor separating 3 bedrooms from the living room, kitchen, and bathroom. And from the bedrooms, you can enter the living room at the front of the house and the kitchen towards the rear. I walked back into the kitchen from another door that led from the living room directly into the kitchen. And from the other kitchen entrance leading into the corridor, I noticed a large shadowy silhouette on the far wall. It was the rounded part of an angel wing as portrayed in photos. It was so big, I didn't immediately notice the shape of this head on the ceiling. I first assumed it was a shadow of some sort of the room, but found nothing that was rounded on top, nor any combination of things that would give that shape. Realizing it was an angel of death, I heard told about. That actually says that. It says I heard told about. I backed up, keeping my eyes on the figure as long as possible, backing into the living room, and the shadow was now at the front of the house on the same wall. I walked forward back into the kitchen, and there it was again. I backed up slowly, and the thing floated towards the living room, I hope. I did this 4 or 5 times, and each time the image moved with me as if it was going to meet me in the other room and stopped at the other entrance of the corridor. Mom came out of her room, and the image vanished. A couple of days later, I felt sluggish and somewhat grouchy. Not well at all, and I don't recall how the conversation went, when Mom grabbed me by my shoulders and shook me violently and yelled, "Satan, turn loose of my daughter in the name of Jesus." And it felt as if the world had been lifted from my shoulders. I looked up and saw a shadow of no particular form rush out of the top of the living room door that leads outside. My head cleared, my energy returned. I felt great, a little baffled at what I saw, but I was back to normal. Oof. That's kind of creepy. That's a lot creepy. Wow. All right, the next story is coming from Michigan again. Seems like a Michigan kind of night. I was in the hospital after giving the birth of my first child. In the wee hours just before sunrise, I opened my eyes just a little and saw about 5 inches of an almost glowing white dress. Assuming it was a nurse's uniform, I laid there waiting on her to attend to me, with either taking my temperature, blood pressure, blood something. It was back in the day when your chart was on the clipboard at the foot of your bed or on the wall at the foot of your bed. A couple minutes passed, and I started to wonder what was taking her so long to get to me, but brushed it off as she was checking my chart and straightening my bedside table, maybe making sure there was water in my little picture, or my little pitcher. She says picture, but it's pitcher. But I heard nothing. After about what seemed like 15 minutes, I opened my eyes and nobody was there. A few minutes later, in comes the nurse, and she has on white pants, nowhere near the white that I saw earlier, and a colorful scrub, too. Top, not two. Colorful scrub top. She wanted to take my temp and blood pressure. Oh, I saw someone in a white dress in here earlier. It's just me and her. It's just me and her in the room, and you'll have a different nurse tomorrow night. I have the night off, and her name is Cheryl. She's nice. Everybody likes her, and I'll see you the following night if you're still here. Have a good day. You have a beautiful baby. Thank you. Enjoy your day off. And then she left. So apparently it was just an apparition. She saw an apparition. And of course, hospitals are always active. They really are. A lot of spiritual energy there. And it's not hard to understand why. What am I missing? Anything? Am I missing anything? Have you ever read The Cowman of Copalis? No, I have never read that, Bigfoot in Germany. I'm not familiar with that one. I don't even know what that is, actually. Huh. Oh, Mickey Free's in Michigan, too. Southeast Michigan. Rochester Hills. Okay. Well, actually, my family's from the Lapeer area, right around Flint there. But, yeah, that's pretty cool, Mickey. Good to meet you. That's a new name. I don't remember meeting you before, but welcome to the show. Very cool. Excuse me. Didn't mean to cough right in the mic. That one kind of snuck up on me. Okay, so we got through that one. Let's check on this one from Kentucky. This is a medium story. Not really, really long, but it has to do with Ouija boards. Ouija boards are always a lot of fun. So my experience happened about 6 months ago, and after it happened, I stopped using a Ouija board immediately. And this story is true. I'm 16, just so you know. And my friend Brittany is 17, and we were at her house one night. She lives about 2 minutes away, and I could walk if I wanted to. It was really dark outside, and I brought over a Ouija board. I never played with one before, and I heard a lot about evil things coming from within the board, so I figured let's have some fun. Oh, God. And see if you can really talk to spirits. So she knew that some people claim darkness and evil things happen, but she decided to try it anyway. All right. We pulled out the blankets and sat on our sleeping bags. Mind you, we were in the basement, and we turned off all of the lights to play, and at first we were afraid to play. But we figured we'd give it a try, and now I can't remember much of what happened, but everything I'm about to explain really did happen. We put our hands on the glass pointer and asked if any spirits were around, and at first, nothing, but we kept asking the same question over and over, and then it moved to yes. We were freaked out, but in an excited way. We asked if the spirit was male or female, and it said male. Brittany asked the spirit if he knew me or her really well, and it said yes, and I asked if it was my guardian angel, and it moved to yes. I don't think your guardian angel is ever going to talk to you through a Ouija board. Just for the record, I don't think that's generally how spirits and or angelic beings communicate with us. So if something says it's your angel, probably is not your angel. Then after that question, the lights were flickering on and off. Me and Brittany were really scared, but we were too afraid to move, so we just kept playing. We asked it a bunch of questions, if it knew my grandpa or grandma, and it said yes, and then we started doubting this spirit. We asked if it could do something to prove that it was really a spirit. I called my boyfriend Steve up on the cell phone and asked him to touch a random part of his body and not to tell me what he's touching. He questioned why, but I didn't tell him what was going on because he doesn't believe in any of that stuff, so I just told him to do it. I then asked the spirit to tell me what my boyfriend was touching on his body. The letters right foot was spelled out, and I asked my boyfriend if he was touching his right foot, and he was like, yeah, why? What's going on? And I began to freak out. I told my boyfriend what was going on, and while I was on the phone with him, a screeching sound came across, and I could barely hear him. I just told him I'd call him back later and got back to the game. We played for about 4 hours that night and went to bed. The next day, Brittany and I woke up and walked over to my house to eat since our house didn't have any food, and we came in my house and brought the Ouija board with us because we were amazed by this. Sorry. It was like we were addicted to playing, and once we came to my house, we sat on the floor and asked if there were any spirits at the room, and it said yes. Then we asked if it was the same spirit from last night, and it said yes again. Then we asked if it could hide or lose something that we both know very well, because we were still not convinced this was a spirit, and it said yes, and nothing happened, so we stopped playing, and then an hour later, my dad came in from the door with groceries, and he looked mad. I asked him what was wrong, and he said, our basketball goal is missing. And I was shocked because me and Brittany did not see anyone go by the house while we were running around the house. I mean, our basketball goal was planted in the ground by our garage, and our neighbors would never steal from us. Also, we live in a great neighborhood, and nothing ever was stolen. After the disappearance of the basketball goal, I've stopped playing the Ouija board. My friend Brittany still plays, and it seems like she has changed over the past couple of months. She keeps telling me to play it again, but I never do. For anyone who's thinking about playing a Ouija board, I urge you to just forget about it. Well, there's that. Just forget about it. I don't know. I'm not anti-Ouija board. I've done many talks about the Ouija boards on the show, and I think in and of themselves, they're neither good nor bad nor anything. They're just a tool. It's like you don't get pissed at a hammer. You can either build a house with it or you can smash somebody's kneecaps, but it's still just a hammer. Same thing with a tool like that. It's the problem with Ouija boards is that they're just a blind channel. You just don't know what you're reaching out to. You don't know what you're opening to, and that's really the problem. But there are ways to set that up. There are ways to control those kind of things. But it's not a children's game, and it shouldn't be marketed as one, really. So I'm only chuckling because it's just like recommended for ages 8 and up. Really? 8 years old? Serious? You go to your room and you channel Grandpa and you tell him what you did. It's like, no, not a good plan. Just my 2 cents, though. Again, it's what I do. I got a pocket full of change. That's all. Next one's from Nebraska. It says, my mom and I returned home on New Year's night. My sister arrived just as we did, being dropped off by her friend's parents. When we entered the apartment, the Christmas tree once again laid on its side. Well, it's like we already knew that, or what? This is the beginning of the story. With the lights on, and I turned them off the day before when my mom and sister had left the apartment. There was a chill in the air, and Mom went to the thermostat to adjust the temperature, and she noticed it was turned up to 70, but it was freezing in the apartment still. She turned it another 5 degrees and stated she would contact the landlord the next morning. While I was exhausted, I went to the door of my bedroom to go in and get ready for bed, and all of a sudden I heard my sister scream. I ran out of my room, meeting up with my mom in the hallway right outside of my sister's room. The door was closed. I reached out to turn the door handle, and it was freezing to the touch. We entered her room, and my sister was standing in the middle of the room with tears streaming down her cheeks, and her eyes were wide. All of her clothes had been taken out of her dresser and closet and were thrown about the room randomly. Some of them hung from the mirror, others from the ceiling fan, falling off the bed, on the floor, everywhere. She had 2 dolls on her bed, and both of them had their plastic head removed and placed next to them with the faces in the pillow. At this point, I stood there with my mouth hanging open. Mom ran to the door to check for signs of forcible entry, and of course there were none. I ran back to my room and opened the door to find almost an identical sight. There were no dolls in my room, but all the clothes were thrown everywhere, and every one of my books was on the floor face down. There were at least 100 or so paperbacks on that shelf, and not one of them managed to land face up on the floor. We then, all three of us, went to my mom's room, opened the door, and absolutely nothing was out of place except her pillows. She had 2 heart-shaped pillows that were always set in the middle of her bed. One of the pillows had my name stitched on it, and the other had my sister's name, and both pillows were on the floor, upside down, side by side. At this point, my mom began to look a little frantic herself. My mom had been through a lot in her life, and at this point, very little seemed to ruffle her, but this really did. She told me she was going upstairs to knock on the neighbors' doors to see if they had seen anyone near or heard anyone in our apartment. My sister and I, still in a bit of a daze, just shook our heads. In the apartment we lived in, the only way to get to the neighbors was to go outside and around to the side, up the stairs, and knock on the doors. I heard the front door open and close, and I looked down at my sister, who was still crying, and told her we needed to go to the kitchen and maybe have some hot chocolate and chill out in front of the television. I let her know we would clean up my bed and she could bunk with me for the night, as I had a double bed, and we would start cleaning the mess in the morning. She seemed to relax a little bit with that suggestion. We walked down the short corridor to the kitchen and had just gotten the cocoa and the milk out, and I was opening the cabinet to get a pan, and the laughing started again. This was just as it had been the night before, which obviously is another story. I don't know. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and all at once, as if on a speaker system, and we just stood there and looked at each other. I didn't have to ask if she heard it. I could tell by the way she was looking at me. Both my sister and I took off running for the front door at a dead heat. My mom was just coming back up the walk from the side of the house to the door, and I could see behind my mom, about 20 feet away, the gray woman. She appeared to be hovering about 7 feet off the ground and waving at me, and I could not see her eyes as it was dark, but I could feel that stare. Somehow I also knew she was smiling as before, and I stood there for a few moments, finally coming out of my stupor when my mom asked me if I would move to let her in. I stepped aside, and as I turned back to the window to see if the woman was still there, she was gone. Mom looked out and asked what I saw, and I shook my head and told her it was nothing. My sister was standing there, and she had been frightened enough lately. Mom advised us that our direct upstairs neighbors heard some vague movement in the apartment and some laughter, but they thought we were home. Mom told them we had not been home and asked if they saw anyone coming or going, and they stated they hadn't, and they had been home all day and the night before. We slept pretty well, at least without incident that night, and repaired the damage to the rooms, and Mom called the landlord, and he came over within the hour, and he checked the furnace and advised us it was in working order. We changed the deadbolts on the front door and the back door, though we never used the back door, and I stood there thinking that the uninvited visitor that had been in the apartment didn't really need a key. Things died down for a few months until spring rolled around. With the thaw, my gray-haired woman friend returned. Yeah. If that's real, I don't know. It's pretty intense. I don't know if it's real or not. It's apparently a whole series of encounters. Not that it couldn't be real, but it's like that whole I don't know, orgy of evidence thing. Maybe. I don't know. It just makes me wonder why continue to separate the stories unless it's just for length. But maybe it's real. All right. Next one. Oregon. See, Don, I said Oregon, not Oregon. I can be trained. This happened just this morning. I woke up early this morning and felt like something was watching me. I knew it was him being my beastly friend. I don't know, why do these stories starting up like we already know the background here? I ignored the feeling and closed my eyes again, hoping that it would just leave, but I was wrong. I like to sleep against the wall, so I was on that side, and suddenly I slid towards the edge of the bed, like someone heavy had sat next to me. I felt heavy arms grab me and hold me, and I asked it to leave, but I only heard breathing other than mine. I tried to get up on my own, but it only held me tighter and said, "Shh, go back to sleep." It has done this once before, also. He just sits there holding me and telling me to go back to sleep. When I didn't, he said it again, but this time he said my name. "Tirsa, go back to sleep." In my last story, it says Michael likes the rain too. I talked about my first sighting. People gave me the advice to try and talk to him again, so I closed my eyes and said his name over and over again in my mind and asked him to help me. Then all of a sudden, its hands let go, and it started raining, and I felt calm once again. Do you think Michael really heard me, or do you think I just decided to leave? It just decided to leave. Let me know, because it's driving my mind crazy, and I think she's talking about the Archangel Michael. That she called upon him to help. Well, I hope he helped you. I don't know. Well, this one's not too bad. Let's see. Let me look at the time here. I got a lot to do. Yeah. I think I'll stop here, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be about it for tonight's show. Again, I got to record another one right after this for later. And I also probably got to record a podcast. So I'm going to probably be doing at least two more hours of shows before my night is over. So I love you all very much. Thank you so much for all your encouragement, support, and for finding the show and for recommending it to so many people. I keep meeting all kinds of new people all the time, and it's really been a pleasure. It's been amazing, and you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all that you do. But that's going to wrap up tonight's show. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Get some sleep. And again, tomorrow I'll be hitting the road, and the next time you'll be hearing from me, I should be up in a ghost town or somewhere in that area. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, guys, have a great night. Take care of each other. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Check out the podcasts. And if you like the theme song for the portal, the song is called Feline, and you can find it on, let me just say it verbally, it's on Brent Thomas, all one word, bandcamp.com/releases. And you can find that there, and hopefully you'll check it out, and you can download it. It's can be yours. So, all right, guys, have a great night. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bama BF. I hope it's a safe trip. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Brent, can we sit in on the recordings? When you air it, we will pretend we never heard it before. Well, I carry you all in my heart, Cha-Cha. All of you are in every recording with me. So, but what can I say? If I stream it, it's going to be, you guys will have already seen it, and then it won't be fun. So, all right, guys, love you all. Have a great night. And I guess I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow. Take care, and follow us on Facebook, if you would, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. That's where I make all the announcements about the show. So if you want to keep up with what's going on, that's the place to check. If there's any news or anything coming up, that's where I will definitely share it. And you can follow my Brent Thomas page, too, on Facebook. That is out there as well. But let's see, Don is around as well on the Don Longbeard Facebook page. And let's see, anything else? I don't think so. But anyway, check if you need some updates. Check the Facebook page, and you guys have a great night and sweet dreams.